And Tottenham were really keen. They were ringing my mum. My mum hadn't got a clue about football, bless her.
Hello and welcome to Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. I'm your host, Ben Wildman, aka The Wildcat, and I'm here with the Mad Dog, Kyle Apps. Kyle, how are you keeping today, sir?
You know, it's warming up. It's no longer February. I see spring coming. It's March. I love it. I'm loving it.
You know what?
Getting back on the golf course.
That's it. That's what it means to me. As soon as the weather gets good, we've had some terrible weather here in England. It means I can get out on the golf course. And today we've got a very special guest. He is someone who's going to be part of a team that's coming over from the United Kingdom to visit your neck of the woods to do some very, very fun stuff. So tell us what's happening, Kyle, in June.
Well, first off, Kristian Dimond is a great legend of football from Wales. So he'll get a lot into that. I'm sure Ben will probably ask him too many questions about that. But that's fine. You know, you like that kind of stuff, Ben. But to me, he's coming over to visit my neck of the woods. And literally, he'll be in the woods with me. Where's my ball? Playing golf, doing the Sam Ryder Trophy, the original 1902 Sam Ryder, before the Ryder Cup. So we got a little video here to talk about. Should we show the video?
Let's see the video. Let's give it a watch.
Let's see about Sam Ryder.
What you know about the man behind the Ryder Cup? Sam Ryder, born in Lancashire, was not only a man of faith, but also a successful businessman. Sam Ryder famously financed British golfers to compete against the best in the United States. He took up golf later in life and even transformed his backyard into a driving range. He wanted people to not only like golf, but also love God.
Join Sports Friends on Sunday, the 22nd of June, to learn more about the remarkable man behind the Ryder Cup.
You'll also hear from ministers who have won the prestigious Sam Ryder Classic, travelling from the UK with the original trophy.
Save the date, Sunday, 22nd of June.
All right. There you go. So that's coming on Sunday, June 22nd at my church. Please register. Come on. If you're in the area, if you want to be in the area, shoot us an email, whatever you need to do. But also, if you want to play golf on the Monday, June 23rd, you can come join us for this golf outing. It's a great time to have some fellowship and to see some of these guys coming from the UK, and also maybe play for the Sam Ryder Trophy. Who knows? It could be yours or your name signed on. I don't know.
Yeah, so we're going to bring the original Ryder Cup Sam Ryder Trophy coming over. So if you're a golf fan, get in touch. You can come over to Milwaukee, Wisconsin in June. Looking forward to that.
So email us at info@sports-friends.org. info@sports-friends.org. Send me an email.
So we're going to have Kristian come in now. We know he loves golf, but we're going to find out how he went from a player to a pastor. We're going to go through his story, chronological order, very unique kind of story, and then we're going to find out how God changed his life, because that's what this season's all about, Mad Dog. Game changer. God is the ultimate game changer. So we're looking forward to hearing about this story. Quite a unique story, right?
Yes, that's right. So we'll hear his story and how he shifted from being a player to now being a pastor. Unbelievable. If God can use players of a worldly thing and reconcile that and then make them into pastors, I think our God is a game changer.
All right. Please welcome to the podcast this week's guest, Kristian Dimond. Welcome, Kristian.
Hey guys, how are you doing? You all right?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. And we love to see the bookshelf behind you. You got the memo. Fantastic. We were just looking before, and your bookshelf actually goes around the room.
It goes around the room, like all the walls.
That's it. That's
a little glimpse if you need it.
Yeah, we do. I need it because Ben needs it.
I need to see
this. Look at this.
Go in.
That's amazing.
Around. And then we got a little bit over there as well.
That's pretty impressive, yeah.
I'm in the boiler room, but you can get a lot of books in a boiler room in a church.
Brilliant. Well, the proper pastor there with a proper room of books. But you've not always been a pastor, and we're looking forward to hearing about your journey to becoming what you are now. We're looking forward to diving into that. But first, Kyle is going to give us some quick fire. So, Mad Dog, over to you.
Well, you didn't sign up for this, Kristian, but it's part of the process. You know, it's our initiation phase where we get you to do some rapid fire questions. It's either or. Whatever comes out of your mouth, that's the answer you're going with. You good to go?
Okay, let's have it.
All right. Mark Hughes or Aaron Ramsey?
Mark Hughes.
Ooh, that was quick. Steak pie or Cornish pasty?
Steak pie.
Wow. Here we go. We're getting the golf now. Rory McIlroy or Bryson DeChambeau? He's pausing. I love it.
Rory McIlroy.
Oh, no. He was going to say Bryson. I know he was. Valentine's Day or St. David's Day?
St. David's Day.
See, look at this. Who would you want to play for if you had the chance? Jason Levine, Stephen Kaplan, Swansea, or Ryan Reynolds or Rob McElhenney?
Ryan Reynolds. He's just so cool.
All right. I think he passed, Ben. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's always good to do that. Always brilliant to find out a bit about that quick fire. Didn't hesitate. Very good, quick answers as well, which we like. Well, let's go a bit deeper then, Kristian. Carl and I would love to know, you're a Welshman. Tell us a little bit about what life was like growing up. We love to say your name's Kristian, but you didn't come from a Christian family. Is that right? Tell us a bit about that how you were brought up.
Yeah, it's quite bizarre, really. I don't know why my parents, they have 3 boys, and they called us Kristian, James, and Joshua. So 3 kind of
biblical names, yeah.
Strong Christian names. But we never went to church unless there was a funeral or a wedding. God was never spoken about in the home. The only kind of Christian input I had in my upbringing was in school. So in my primary school, the headmaster, I later found out, was a Christian. And so we would do the usual like nativity things, sing hymns in assembly, that kind of stuff. So I'd memorized the Lord's Prayer by the time I was 6, but I didn't get it. I didn't understand what I was saying. And I just kind of saw Jesus as quite a feeble, like a nice guy, but feeble, quite pathetic, all meek, and and the same with Christians, really, just weird, weak, pathetic people.
So tell us about your journey then from we've already kind of recognized that you're a Christian, because you are a Christian, but tell us your journey from player to pastor, starting with maybe your football journey. I know you've shared this in different formats and places, but what was it like playing at the top level with Cardiff and then Swansea at 12 and 13?
Yeah, it was really exciting when I got to Swansea. I think that was the moment that I thought, oh, this could be a thing. This is maybe a more realistic dream than I'd once thought. Because my dad got me into football when I was 6, and I didn't really have much interest in it. I preferred rugby. But then when I got to about 10, 11, and I started getting a little bit better, and then at Swansea, I was playing with lads who were a lot older than me, and I got on really well with them, and they kind of looked after me. So I enjoyed being the little kid, and all the bigger kids, kind of, if ever there was trouble, they would surround me and protect me. And that was a nice feeling. But really, it was Jan Mulby at Swansea that gave me some confidence. So he chatted to me one day and just said that I was in his plans for the future. And I was about 12 or 13, I think. And he offered me this big, long contract and said he wanted me to play with the youth team and then start training with the first team pretty soon in the next few years. And so I remember my dad picking me up and just that journey home. It's about an hour journey to Barry, thinking, wow, I could actually be a professional footballer one day. This may happen. So that was quite exciting. And that was the beginning then of that journey, because I never stayed at Swansea. I ended up moving to London when I was 15.
Yeah. So Jan Mulby said he wanted to offer you a 6-year contract, wasn't it? And then, of course, you said about that Palace then wanted to come and see you. And there's a story around that, isn't it? That Crystal Palace wanted to sign you, but weren't allowed to till you were 14. Is that right? Tell us. But then they did eventually. So tell us a bit about that then, when you went to Crystal Palace and that whole journey about the age of 14 before that and stuff.
Yeah. So there was a rule at the time that young Welsh footballers couldn't go to an English club until you were 14. And it was to give opportunity to Cardiff, Swansea, Wrexham, maybe Newport County. But Crystal Palace were a little bit naughty, and they didn't wait until my 14th birthday. They approached my parents when I was 13 and invited us all down to London just to kind of sell us the dream and try and get in there first before the other English clubs. And it worked, because they said on your 14th birthday, you can sign the contract and then you're committing to us. So it was all quite exciting, except on the actual day when I was supposed to sign, I couldn't, because I was suspended from school. I'd got into a scrap in school the day before. So I thought that might scupper the whole thing, but I later realised that Palace were quite keen to get the deal done. because on that day when I turned 14, the doors were open for other clubs to come and try and sign me, but it was too late.
So move to Palace then. Tell us what position were you playing at the time and stuff, and then you played under Steve Coppell, right? And at that time you had interest from other places, right? Other teams and stuff came in. So tell us a little bit about how you got to the point where you had 3 choices, right? Some big choices. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the kind of trend continued, playing with lads who are older than me. So I was playing for the under-17s and the under-19s when I was 15, and then started occasionally training with the first team as well at Palace. And Terry Venables, Steve Coppell, they were great managers, great coaches. And it was all very exciting. And we kind of traveled the world playing against different teams in different tournaments. And I did the same playing for Wales as well through the youth ranks for them. It was going well. I was playing either midfield or centre-back. I preferred playing midfield, but deep down I knew I was a much better centre-half than a midfield player. But I didn't like the typical British style of centre-half, like just boot it and not really play football. So I liked the Rio Ferdinand style and the more modern style, how it is now. So I always thought, playing in Italy, that would suit me down to the ground. So I always loved playing against Italy or playing against Italian teams like Juventus or the Milans. And that was kind of my big dream, either to play in the Premier League or to play in Italy. That was what I wanted to do.
So tell us, like, what happened with the choice you had then. So you had a choice where Tottenham were interested in you, Inter Milan were talking about being, wanted to sign you as well. And then you made the decision, you had to stay at Palace, right? So tell us a bit about that. And then kind of what happened in that time, obviously, when you were playing for Palace. Something happened that and ultimately kind of changed your life, really, wasn't it? So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so my agent was on the phone quite a lot, wanting me to sign for Tottenham, and he was really trying to push this deal as if it was the only deal on the table. But I'd already found out from Steve Coppell that Inter Milan were in for me, and Steve Coppell was a very intelligent guy. I think he did a degree in psychology, so it always felt like whenever you chatted with him, he was in your head. And he just told me, "You're not going. That's the end of it. We've told them you're not available at any price. We're looking after you. You're doing well here. Just don't even think about moving anywhere." And I was really gutted about that. And then I knew my agent was lying to me by saying that only Tottenham were interested. But he wanted me to sign for Tottenham because the money was just astronomical. It was ridiculous amounts of money. And he was on a percentage of my wage. So that's why he was pushing the Tottenham deal. And Tottenham were really keen. They were ringing my mum. My mum hadn't got a clue about football, bless her. But she just phoned me up and said, "I've had David Pleat on the phone. He's offering this, that, and the other, and he wants to pay off my mortgage and all this other stuff." But then I did also feel some loyalty to Palace as well. I really liked Steve Coppell, but I knew what football's like, and he might not be there in a season or two. So I was just confused, didn't know what to do. I was just a kid. And then in the time where I said I wanted time to think about it, I ended up getting injured, which you do as a footballer. I broke my ankle, and I also did some ligament damage. And normally an injury like that, you can be back playing within 4 to 6 weeks. So it's not something that initially I was panicking about. It was only when 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks went by and it wasn't getting any better. And so then, unfortunately, I started a series of lies, and I pretended that it was getting better, and I just was quite deceitful, really, and used lots of different tactics to try and convince the medical department that I was okay. And I started training again and playing in matches. And deep down, I knew I wasn't the same player. I knew I wasn't ready. I couldn't move in the same way as I could before. So even though my mind was still working in the same way, my body just trying to play catch up. And my ankle was swelling up after every training session. The pain, despite the large quantity of anti-inflammatories I was taking and painkillers, was getting worse and worse. And I was just trying to keep the dream alive.
Yeah, I mean, I played for a professional basketball academy under 18s and snapped my ankle ligaments, and to this day, never been the same because of that. coming back, it was just so hard. And yeah, constantly, like you said, that lying thing just about, I think it's better. Psychologically, it never was. And you said you went through 18 months, basically, wasn't it, where you were basically lying and trying to lie to physios and say it's okay, and it wasn't. So you ended up going back to Cardiff, right? And then you ended up playing semi-pro. So tell us a little bit about that then. So you went back there, and what happened at that time? Kind of, when did you decide to retire from football after that injury?
Yeah, so I went to Cardiff for about 18 months, and one day I knew I couldn't continue this lie anymore. And I just walked into the office and spoke to the manager, a guy called Lenny Lawrence, lovely guy. And I just said, my body just can't handle this. I can't even feel the ball at my feet at the moment. And so he advised me to try and play semi-pro. He organised Newport County because they'd been making some inquiries. It was my old coach, Peter Nicholas, an ex-Chelsea and Wales captain. So he took me there. And so I played semi-pro for a few years, and it was easier only training twice a week and only playing once a week. I was able to get away with it, but I kind of lost the plot, really. It just felt like such a dramatic come down from wanting to play and nearly playing in Serie A for Inter Milan or playing in the Premier League to now playing non-league or semi-professional football. I know this sounds really disrespectful to say this, so apologies if you're a semi-pro sportsman, and it's a great level, but it just wasn't what I dreamt about. And I was just angry and bitter and frustrated. And my girlfriend, who I'd met in London, she was the one who kind of kept me on the straight and narrow, really, and got me out of a few dark spots. And really convinced me that there was more to life than football, because in my head there wasn't. Football was my world. It was my God. It was my absolute everything. And I just didn't want it to end. But it did completely at the age of 24, 25. I had to completely stop playing altogether.
You done fanboying there, Ben?
Oh, the journey's interesting. I think, we call the season we're in game changer and stuff. And often we say, when did God change your life? But it was actually, you mentioned there, your now wife, isn't it? Your kind of girlfriend. Tell us about that. So at that age, 24, 25, it got pretty dark, right? You turned to all sorts of things, didn't you? Drink and stuff. But tell us a bit about like what happened to your girlfriend then at the time. Like what happened in that time? Because there's a pretty cool story around her kind of coming to faith and stuff, right?
Yeah, so after she convinced me there's more to life than football, and like, let's get married, let's have kids, let's just get normal jobs, I just set that as my target. And so we did have children, we got married, got a job, and I just kind of worked hard at that job and did really well. And so in the next few years, by the time I was like 29, I had everything. I had everything I'd ever wanted. A big house, top of the range cars, holidays wherever we wanted to go. I literally had everything, but I still wasn't happy. And then my wife, who was similar to me, she always wanted more. Then she suddenly changed, and she had started going to church and came back one night and said, I'm a Christian and I want to read some verses from the Bible, from John's Gospel. And so she just started reading these Bible verses to me, and I just thought, you have lost your mind. You've completely gone. But I couldn't deny the change in her life. So like the next few weeks, I was just in amazement at this newfound peace and contentment that she had. And it just kept going and going for months. And that was so stunning to me. I was just thought, I want that. Like, I need that in my life, but I don't want to go to church. But eventually she convinced me, and I ended up going to church it was around 2011.
I find it interesting. At the beginning, you talked about your view on Christians and stuff, and then your wife originally went to Mum and Toddlers group, right? And then she became a Christian. And then, so when was your kind of personal encounter then? So you went to church, and I know after your football career, so in your football career, you said you were sponsored by Adidas and Nike and stuff, but then you had a very good job as well, right? So what happened then? You originally, what was your thinking around when they were inviting you to church? You were a little bit skeptic, right, when they were kind of inviting you to church. So tell us about that, and then your personal encounter with Christ.
Yeah, so I was suspicious. of all these lovely, kind, nice people in church. And I just thought, they know I've got a few quid, and that's why they're trying to be nice to me, because they just want me to give to the church. They're probably going to hit me with, we need a new roof, or we need this doing or that doing. And so I was suspicious. And so most of the time I used to just hide away in the creche. So I was keeping my wife happy because I was going to church. I quite enjoyed my kids being there. They seemed to enjoy it and appreciate it. But I had very, very little interest. I couldn't tell you what the sermons were about at that time. I just disengaged. I was there physically, but I wasn't really there engaging until one day. So this is probably maybe 6 months in. So we're in about 2012 now. And I just remember something in the sermon capturing my attention. And the preacher is a guy called Merv Neals, an ex-professional rugby player. And he started talking about how to be a godly dad and how to be a godly husband. And all the things he was describing, I thought, I'm none of them. And then in that moment, it was all a bit of a blur, but I remember having my first encounter with Jesus at that point. And all these kind of preconceived ideas I'd had about Jesus being this gentle, meek, quite pathetic person, those were dispelled very, very quickly, because my first experience of God wasn't so much of love and joy and peace, but it was pretty terrifying, actually. It was mainly fear that I experienced. And I knew two things. I knew God was real, and I knew that he knew everything that I'd done wrong in my life, even the stuff that I hadn't admitted to anyone.
So how on earth did you become a pastor? So you grew up, football was your life. Football is life. And then all of a sudden you got called to go to Bible school and study, and now you're a pastor. So how does that trajectory work? How does that become a game-changing influence in your life?
I knew pretty soon on, after I started reading the Bible for myself, and it wasn't until I got to Romans that the penny dropped, and I was like, oh, Jesus is God, but he's also Savior, and he died on the cross for my sin. And so that it's grace, it's a gift. It's not about me. And then soon after that, I had this really strong feeling that God wanted me to get involved in ministry, but it didn't make much sense because I'd only just started reading the Bible. I'd only just become a Christian. So I kept that to myself for quite a while. And if I'm honest, I didn't really want to do it. I had a great job, and I just thought I can help the church. We've given them loads of money, and I can do a bit of youth work occasionally, or I can do whatever other things that they want me to do. But I knew God wanted more from me. And the other reason that I was hesitant is I spent too much time looking at myself, and I just thought, I'm so incapable and so different from other pastors. There's just no way that God could use me in this way. But then as I read the Bible again, I saw Moses say to God, oh, I can't talk properly, I'm incapable. And Jeremiah say, I'm too young, I can't talk properly. And God never says to them, oh no, you're amazing, you're awesome, you're capable. He just promises, I'll be with you. And so that kind of gave me confidence that I thought, it's not about me. I need to take my gaze off myself and what he's calling me to. And I just need to look to him and trust him that if he's calling me to this, he's going to help me through it. And that's really, I've never looked back from that moment. So I just said to my wife, look, I know this sounds mental, but I think I'm supposed to get involved in ministry in some way. And that freaked her out. Because she knew what it meant. She knew the changes that we need to make as a family, which we did. And it was about an 80 or 90% pay cut that we had to take as a family to say goodbye to my job and start full-time ministry. But yeah, it was great.
Wow. And I love, the guy who you said you impacted preaching, the ex-rugby guy, Merv, he was the one that called out, that calling that you felt like you had, right? To say, I feel like, yeah, God's, kind of called me to do this, and he backed you and said, go and do it, right? So people probably listening and be like, okay, footballer, we understand that, but pastor, what does you like day to day look like now then? What does it look like? Because this season's called Game Changer. What does it look like then, day to day, week to week? How are you being a game changer now in your world?
Oh, do you know what? It's such a privilege being a pastor. Like to to get to the point where people are trusting you with their most intimate, darkest sin or personal issues that they need help with, like it's a massive privilege. But I think the greatest two privileges that I enjoy as a pastor is, one, seeing people's lives change. So like freeing from addictions, all kinds of different stuff, and just seeing how Jesus can utterly transform people's lives. Like as pastors, we just get a front row seat. I'm still as incapable now as I was when I got into ministry 10 years ago. All I do is point people to Jesus. That is literally all I do. But to get that front row seat and see him in action is unbelievable. And the amount of people who get restored and rebuilt and repaired, and to watch that take place is just, it's incredible. And then the second thing is being with Christians when they die. I never thought that would be such a joy. And it was something I feared initially, but it's absolutely incredible to be with a Christian when they die. I think it might have been Spurgeon or someone else who said, our people die well. And I agree with that.
So it's worth that 80-90% pay cut now, right? To have those. Yeah.
God multiplies. He doesn't add, he multiplies. So
Always gives us what we need.
I want to know, me personally, being a father of older children, I know Ben's got a long ways to go to get Caleb up to that mature age, but could happen he may be pushing him into these different things. So as now you've shifted on, you've discovered Christ, you're now living a Christian life, and now you said you have children, and I know you've got older boys, and the girls are also growing up. How do you, as a father who didn't set an example for you, your father, that is, how do you handle that as a father to your children? How did you understand? How do you lead your family without having a good previous example to go by?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think reading the Bible is pretty clear that God never gives a bad upbringing or bad examples in your life as an excuse. So just because we've experienced, a poor fatherly example or been surrounded by difficult people, it doesn't mean we have to follow the same pattern. So I've been quite determined not to follow that same pattern. But also, I think I've wrestled with, how do you bring your children up in the ways of the Lord? How do you best disciple them? What kind of fellowship stuff or devotional stuff do you do at home? But really, I think the most successful thing is just modeling and practicing what we preach. Just consistently trying to keep on keeping on, but keep on doing the right things, making the right decisions, and doing that in front of them. Not just stuff that they see at church, not just, oh, dad's at the front preaching now. It's doing it at home as well and being consistent with that. And that's a lot harder, but I think it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
So you're coming on a game-changing trip in June. You're coming to Milwaukee. You're going to come to my hometown. If Ben's nice, he'll be there as well. I can't promise that Ben will be there, but for sure Kristian will be there with a couple other chaps. I'm not sure how we say it in Wales or in England, but what does that look like for you when you're coming over? I mean, is it just a chance to get away from the children and the wife for a couple of days, or is this more?
Yeah, I mean, I've been with my wife since we were like 14 years old, and we've got 5 kids plus foster children. So yeah, it's having a week away from the house will be a
honesty. Pastor, honesty. I like it.
We can do evangelism every minute. We can preach every day and play golf, and it'll still be less hectic than home. But I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it'll be a great opportunity. I love playing golf with Christians and having times of fellowship. I love playing golf with non-Christians. It's great. A great opportunity to walk around in God's creation and to have conversations with people while you're playing a hobby that you enjoy. And so this team of, I think it's 12 of us coming over to play against the US. I'm not as good at golf as I was at football, but I'm still as competitive now at 42 as I've always been. So I am playing to win. First is first, second is nowhere. That's like my motto for sport. So yeah, I'm up for it. Sam Ryder legend of a Christian man who was encouraged, I think, by his pastor originally to play golf to escape the stresses and strains of his business life. And then he just promoted that so well for other pastors and other Christians. So I'm just really excited to be part of it.
Yeah, it's a good pastor, right? Do you do that now? Encourage people you pastor to go and play golf as well, or?
I need to do more of it. Yeah. I used to play every Thursday with 3 other Christians every single week. And so it was purely fellowship. But now it's more an opportunity for evangelism because I'm with 3 other guys. They can't run away from me for 4 hours. And so they're going to hear the gospel. And yeah, it's a good opportunity.
Sure, and like your golf course, one of the best places to be sanctified, I think, as well for us as well. You know, it's good. It's good for a lot of things. I think, like you say, just walking, talking, especially for men as well. And we're looking forward to that. There's obviously the 12v12, right, Carl? 12 guys from the UK coming over to play against 12 US, and we've also got a special day, right, Carl, on the Monday as well. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Monday.
We have two, possibly 3, 4 special days. The first one is Sunday. We're doing an event where we're going to talk about the Ryder, Sam Ryder, the person behind the Ryder Cup. Reverend Dr. Kristian will be preaching at some cathedral someplace, maybe. And then we'll have Monday, we'll do a golf outing where we're doing a kind of a scramble. We're going to use the Stableford system, which is very odd here for the U.S. I mean, they know it, but we typically do a scramble kind of thing, best ball, that kind of stuff. So we'll see how it goes. So that Sunday, Monday, and then the Tuesday, Wednesday is the 12v12.
So anyone listening, it's an open invite to the Sunday and the Monday, right?
Yep.
So you get yourself there, get in touch, and we'd love to. You can meet Kristian in person on the Sunday, and then on the Monday as well. We've open event for people to come and join Stableford competition with the original Sam Ryder trophy. So really excited for that. So we've heard a bit of advice. Some of the advice would be to go and play golf, I'd imagine, as a pastor. But we train coaches in different places of the world. From your kind of playing days and just life advice, what advice would you give to coaches and anyone else listening?
I think in terms of coaching kids, I've only had a little bit of experience with this since I've been a Christian. But the first thing that I did and insisted upon when a guy in my church just nagged me for months and months to help coach his little local team. They were getting hammered every week. And I said, the first thing we'll do is we'll focus on the parents, not the kids. Because I just thought, I was trying to put myself in the shoes of a little 7-year-old kid who's got his coach telling him to push up. His dad's telling him to drop off. His coach is trying to encourage him. His dad's having a go at him. So the first thing I did was ban parents from all coaching and all criticism. So all they could do was encourage the children, not just their own. They could encourage any of the kids, but the coaching was done by the coach. Any constructive criticism, that was done by the coach as well. And then the second thing we focused on wasn't so much the technical stuff, it was character. So it was just trying to help the kids who are a bit more shy to come out of their shell a bit more and be brave. Because bravery in sport might be, if you're a midfield player, being available to receive a pass more frequently. That's brave. It's a really brave thing to do. But a kid who's really shy might not want to do that. So rather than going technique, go with character first. And then if you've got people who are teachable and they've got a good character, you can do amazing things from a coaching perspective. So yeah.
I don't know about you, Ben, but he's covered some of the corners right there. I mean, there's some social, right? There's some inner wisdom. He's basically teaching our material.
Yeah, we have some training, Kristian, 4-corner plus. So the coach can help someone develop technically. So you mentioned that physically, psychologically, socially, and then most importantly, spiritually. But I do love that quote: "Character over technique." I think that's a great thing to go after, and we certainly do that with some character value-based teaching. And we try and train the heart of a champion from the inside out. And of course, we do focus on the technique and stuff. That's important. Hence the 4-corner plus. But I think what you talk about there is that spiritual side about getting to the character first. So, like Kyle says, you're speaking our language, which is great. And I loved earlier on as well. Don't look at yourself, look to God. I think that's an amazing thing for coaches to don't look at yourself, what you bring. Like you said, so many examples in Scripture, but look to God. as he is the ultimate game changer, and he certainly changed your life as well. And we wish you all the best as you continue to have that front row seat. What an amazing privilege it is to have that and to point people to Jesus, and to go and play golf when you can, to have some R&R and over in America as well. So we're excited to host you. And is second place going to happen, Kyle? What do you think? Is he going to finish second? Or
I think second place is pretty much wrapped up. You guys win it. So the trophy already is engraved. So congratulations. Runners up.
We'll see. We're looking forward to having you over, Kristian, in America as well. But thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's stay in touch before the summer.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Pleasure.
Good stuff.
Brilliant stuff. From player to pastor. What a journey, Mad Dog. Well, I think for me, it's hearing that story, like journey bit by bit, and this kind of the way that through his now wife, he's kind of met God. You know, she found God, and then he was massively impacted by it. But now he's been a pastor, and I just love that. You know, he's on the front row right now, and you know he took that pay cut, but I think it's worth it because he's now storing up, you know, riches in heaven, not on earth. Because I'm going to drop a www in quite early, Mad Dog.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I know, I'm going to drop it in. And this one is, don't store for yourselves treasure on earth, but instead store it for yourselves treasure in heaven. Who said that, Mad Dog? Which game changer said that?
I'm going to go with, it's Matthew. It's Jesus.
It's Jesus in Matthew's gospel, the ultimate game changer. Jesus said that. And I'm just struck, you know, Kristian had a life as a player where he said he had sponsorship. He had, you know, all the money he could have possibly won at that time. And then he went into a very successful job. There's a story that he didn't tell, which I know is he actually sold a house and reduced the asking price by £70,000. And what actually happened was a pastor ended up buying that house. So that's how much money was an object for Kristian. He dropped the asking price of his house, I think it was a 5-bed house, by £70,000 because he felt God tell him to. And then this guy came round to his house and he said, why have you dropped the asking price? It's an amazing house. And actually what Kristian said is, you're not going to believe this, but I believe in God. And this is when he first became a Christian, but I think God's telling me to drop it. And he did. And it was for a pastor who used that house for furniture and things like that. So for me, Kristian massively encountered God in a personal way. And now he's storing treasures in heaven, not on earth, which we know is more important. It's bigger than any game that happens on earth, any football game, soccer game. This is the bigger game that we talk about, right? And you enjoyed hearing about his story. What stood out to you from his story?
How much excited you got by hearing every different club he played with? That was the most exciting bit for me. No, no, I did. It was interesting. Like I said, his name is Kristian, so he's already offset as unique, right? Even in a non-Christian family, you're calling yourself a Christian, right? And then from his parents to his coaches to different things in his life to ultimately being injured and unable to play at the top level, different things spoke into his life, and ultimately his girlfriend, now wife, really kind of leading him to the point of conversion and change. So it's amazing to see how God does this to our lives. He puts people, situations, circumstances in. It's God directly speaking to us. It's maybe not his audible voice, but it's definitely him speaking to us.
For sure. And then he was talking our language. It was interesting what he said about coaching, right? He said, you know, encourage. He said, just encourage. He was on the Four Corner Plus, and he was saying about parents.
Remember the hand signal? Four Corner Plus.
It is. I recently coached a game, and it was basically, I'm normally on one side as a coach, and the parents normally the other side. So I can't always hear what's being said on the other side. But I had to stand in the middle because we played 2 5-a-side games. And as I was in the middle, I could hear the parents behind. And like Kristian said, they were saying some interesting different things, you know, and his first rule was get the parents to encourage, not give criticism. And I think for us as who train coaches, right, please keep encouraging kids. Keep being that voice that encourages, right? Keep focusing on character, not just technique. I like that, particularly from Kristian as well, right? That's Sports Friends training right there.
Boom. We're gonna maybe level 4 will be parents training. We'll just work on parents.
That's it. But he said that was the first thing he did. So maybe it's this is pre-training before we get level 0.5. Yeah.
The prequel.
No, it's good. Well, great game changer today. You know, talked about the Four Corner Plus, and we're going to have more guests coming up to go through the Four Corner Plus, Carl, because God is the ultimate game changer, and we bring in guests who bring us game-changing gold dust that can help you change the game in the lane that you're in, right, Mad Dog?
I agree. Do we tell our friends?
What else?
Friend? parents, friends, just tell everyone, hey, they've already won.